running on adrenaline and shock, kind of.
Only on News 13, a story that comes with a warning. This image, an Asheville man attacked by a bear, is one of the least graphic. The others we're about to show you are harder to look at than this one. Don't worry though, Bill Pallas is back doing what he loves, which is running the trails near his home. Tonight he's sharing the terrifying details though of his encounter with a black bear and her cub. Taylor Thompson has the story.
Bill Pallas says he's been running through the woods here for the last 30 years and just weeks ago found himself accidentally caught between a mama bear and her cub.
These bears up here, these are wild bears.
Bill has lived in a home that backs up to the Pisgah National Forest for 3 decades now, and he sees bears all the time.
It's kind of like the nature centers out here.
Bill's a runner, and he hits the trails near his home at least 2 to 3 times a week, and he knows them like the back of his hand. But on Friday, July 7th.
And I'm running kind of on the, just below the ridge a little bit, and it's real steep land. So I come around like a hard turn, kind of on a little ridge, and I come around and here's probably a 20-pound cub sitting right there on the trail. When you see a cub like that, there's usually a mom around. So I go and I turn around real quick, and all of a sudden there I see the mama bear.
The cub took off up the hill, and the mama bear charged him.
She stands up on her back legs, and here's this head. Her head must have been the size of a basketball, and it's right here, and she takes a claw and she rakes it across my face and chest. And
Bill tried to hit the bear and ended up with his arm in the bear's mouth.
And that's all these scars are here. And she kind of knocked the end of my little finger off.
He says the claws felt like razor blades going across his face. The bear knocked him down on his back, and he waited to see what was next.
And thinking, yeah, it's on now. We're going to have a battle.
Thankfully, the mama bear just wanted to get her cub and left him alone.
I was running on adrenaline and shock, kind of. I get about 20 yards down the steep hill, and I try to survey what's going on. How bad am I? All I know is this blood is just gushing out of everywhere.
Bill made it back to his home, and his wife rushed him to the hospital.
They brought in a special a facial plastic surgeon, because they saw I was all tore up on the face. And he spent 3 hours sewing on me. And I just feel so lucky that I'm, together. I mean, seeing these 3-inch claws, I could see them that close to my face. It's just like, and I was thinking, man, it's just surreal.
Bill spoke with a district biologist about the attack. We've also reached out to the NC Wildlife Resources about what happened and have not heard back.
I definitely have some wilderness street cred now. Because how many people do you know have been attacked by a bear?
And I asked Bill if he was going to be getting back on the trails anytime soon. He says he already has and that he doesn't plan to let this attack stand in his way.
27.6 million people are currently victims of human trafficking worldwide. That's according to the State Department. Today in McDowell County, a group gathered hoping to stop more from becoming part of that statistic. News 13's Samir Nefsi has more on their efforts to raise awareness.
Since 2014, more than 1 million people have participated in the Red Sand Project. That, according to their website, the goal to raise awareness of human trafficking both domestically and internationally. Red Sand fills the cracks outside of the McDowell County Courthouse.
It signifies when we pour them in the cracks, which we're going to do here at the McDowell County Courthouse, people who are falling through the cracks.
The Red Sand Project reaching near and far, taking place in 50 states and 70 countries in an effort, they say, to combat the estimated 50 million people being trafficked, forced into marriages, labor, or sexual exploitation.
Today you think you aren't doing anything but pouring sand in a crack, but you're not. Through this selfless act, one of you are going to learn to recognize a sign when another person is being trafficked.
From kids to adults, all attending the Marion Rotary Club event. Last year, Tammy Molster brought the event to McDowell County.
I know this project's not going to stop human trafficking, but it sure can make it right up under our noses obvious when we see it.
The modern form of slavery is a subject that hits close to home for her.
I had known someone in my life that had been indirectly trafficked by today's definition of trafficking. And it really broke my heart growing up to see this person. When I got older and I realized what was going on.
With green and blue cops filling cracks with red sand, standing as a message of unity and awareness in the rural mountain community.
Being aware that it's there and how to report it so that the proper authorities can go and take action to remedy the situation.
For more on the Red Sand Project, you can head on over to WLOS.com.
Farming is nothing new for Western North Carolina, so sometimes you've got to try something a bit different. In today's Uniquely WNC, Megan Danahay and photojournalist Matthew Yates introduce us to one farm that's moving its operation underground.
On a 21-acre farm in Fletcher,
Used to have a wholesale nursery here.
which still fosters trees and plants of all types,
My son wanted to do something with the farm and keep it in ag.
Brian Upchurch's teenage son came up with an idea.
He came up with the truffle idea. So
A new idea for the land.
we're growing a symbiosis. It's not just the host tree or not just the truffle, it's their interaction.
An interaction that will hopefully lead to a new avenue for the delicacy and will hopefully lead to a new appetite for domestically grown truffles.
It's not enough to produce a truffle, we want to produce commercial quantities to make it viable.
Brian and his team at Carolina Truffiers have plenty of horticultural experience. But figuring out how to successfully grow truffles commercially in America is still a relatively new idea.
Most of the research, which is limited, has been in Europe, and they're working with European host trees, European soils, their climate, which is different than ours. So we have to adapt to that, to the climate here and the host trees we're using.
Inside his greenhouse, he shows us some of those trees.
This is a hybrid chestnut. It's virtually all Native American chestnut and enough Chinese chestnut to include resistance to the chestnut blight. And we think this is going to be a really good host.
And what are these beauties?
This is our native loblolly pine, and these are seedlings. We just germinate the seed in here, and then you can see the fungus already starting there.
The fungus may be starting, but to get to harvest, you've got to have patience.
And how long do you have to wait in most
It can be
cases?
6 to 8 years.
But the waiting doesn't faze Brian and his team. They're even expanding their operation.
And then the new farm up the road, we kind of settled into a spacing and a strategy, and that's a little more homogeneous throughout. It's big. It's a lot bigger than this one, but it'll be significant once it's up and running.
One of the largest in the country.
Yes, it will be, yeah.
And while he's confident that truffles will be a huge success, Brian will be the first to tell you.
Yeah, so it's exciting. But it's a lot of hurry up and wait because you just don't know what's going on in the ground.